Welcome to the April edition of North St. Paul Notes. I'm your host, Paul Anderson. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll visit with members of the North St. Paul Green, which is a volunteer group that beautifies the city of North St. Paul. Stay tuned, North St. Paul Notes is straight ahead. Hello and welcome to the April edition of North St. Paul Notes. We hope this show will keep you up to date on the news and events that are of interest to the residents of North St. Paul. North St. Paul Green is a volunteer group that beautifies the city by planting and maintaining flowers in the downtown gardens and by the community school. With me today from North St. Paul Green is Claudia Madigan and Sue Springborn. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's good to have you here. I know that I've been watching North St. Paul Green operate for many years now. And in fact, one year I was a volunteer, or a couple of years I volunteered in the spring when you were planting all the annuals along the boulevards. Mm-hmm. Those are days past, I know.
Yes.
Things have changed.
Unfortunately, we
Right.
had to let that go.
Right. It was almost too much,
Yeah.
I imagine.
The tending of them, and I think primarily the watering, it was an issue for the city
Sure.
to keep up with the watering. When you're planting annuals, they need an awful lot of care and water.
That's right, and that was a difficult time, I know, and it was, I think it was hard for the city to justify having a person hired just for watering the plants along the streets.
Yes.
So it was a good thing, but I guess it couldn't last. But I still remember one of those years when I was volunteering on I think it was a Saturday morning, and it was raining, and
I remember you being
it was
there.
miserable.
Cold.
So I wasn't too unhappy to leave that job, especially in that kind of weather.
The plants grew well that year, though.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
did.
Yeah, that's right. They had a good start, I'm sure. We buried them in mud, I think, if I
We
remember
did.
right. I just thought I'd mention a little bit of history that's kind of related, although not exactly. But back in May of 1888 in the North St. Paul Sentinel, it had an article about planting in North St. Paul. And I'll just quote from this article. It said, "The Jewel Nursery of Lake City, Minnesota, have sent an army of men to North St. Paul this week to plant the 10,000 shade trees and ornamental trees." So apparently when the town was founded, a lot of the town was bare. I mean, I think the north side of town had many of the old oak trees that we still have up there, although they're disappearing, I'm afraid. Mm-hmm. But I think it was the Business Association and the land company that contracted with this nursery in Lake City to plant 10,000 trees. So I'm curious about how many of those trees are still standing in North St. Paul. But it was a good effort, I think, at the time, and they just felt they had to beautify the city, and that's what your group does. And maybe you can just give us since you're both maybe not from the beginning of this organization, but you have quite a bit of history with the organization. You can tell me a little bit about how this whole thing got started.
Well, it was interesting to me when we started talking about this that I didn't realize that the first effort for North St. Paul Green in 1992 was organized by Bill Beautifies and some other business people.
Bill used to be with the
bank.
The bank, that's
yes,
right. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And they started out this group to beautify the bike trail.
Okay.
And they planted wildflowers and trimmed trees and did things to beautify that. And then it went on from there. And in the early days, they would have a mass planting on a Saturday. They'd pick a Saturday and have, I don't remember how many flats of flowers.
We would fill Linders would deliver, and one of their trucks would be filled. I remember one year in particular that our cost for the flowers we planted was $2,400.
Oh, wow.
It was from donations,
Sure.
a grant from the city and donations that paid for the flowers that are planted.
Okay.
And that particular, I don't remember which year it was, but it was just a huge truck full of flowers that we unloaded on and then planted.
Sure.
And in those days, there were a few people who were master gardeners that were involved, but most people were not. As of now, we are not master gardeners. A lot of us, myself included, I always considered myself just grunt labor, just point and tell me what to do, because I didn't know anything.
Sure.
But I've learned a tremendous amount, and actually Kay Weber said the same thing. She joined the group because she wanted to learn.
Okay.
And I think all of us have learned. And so now we concentrate on a few areas that we can make a difference in, and we don't do the mass plantings any longer.
Kay wasn't she heading the organization at one time, or was she president, or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Kay was
Yeah.
she
Is
was
she
in
still
at the
active?
ground level. She was very much a part of building the whole club.
Okay. So in addition to Bill Buthy, I understand Scott Dudek
Scott
played
Dudek
a role
was,
in that.
without
and-
Scott's help, we wouldn't exist today.
Okay, that's true.
He's been
other
part of our,
organizations.
very supportive and helpful
Sure.
to us over the years.
And then there was a Gary Perrault too, that was mentioned.
He
as
was a
one
master. He is a master gardener, and he was involved in the early days. He no longer is, and that's what's happened. People come
Sure.
and then they tire of it or find other things to do and move on.
So back in the early days, how many people did you have involved? Do you recall?
see.
I don't
30?
even know.
I think
there
30.
were at least 30 to 50 maybe at different
Right.
times.
Sure.
But that was increased when we had those mass plantings. We would have Boy Scout troops and Girl
Right.
Scout troops, and so I don't know how many. And K&J Catering would supply with coffee and juice
Sure,
and,
and
hot
lunch.
dogs.
I remember
yes.
lunch, having
Yes.
lunch down there. So, well, it was quite a start to this whole thing, and it really makes for an interesting history. How many members do you have now in the organization?
We currently have about 15 members. Unfortunately, we're all getting older.
Right.
It's getting
I noticed
more and
that.
more difficult to do the things that we did. But each year last year we added 2 new members, and we hope to every year add many more. The more, the better.
I know that this is true for most organizations. As people get older, they're not as active, and so then you lose some of those faithful members, and it's hard to replace them sometimes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we don't have as many young people getting involved as we perhaps once had.
Right.
Back when you were younger, that is. So that's something that I guess I wanted to emphasize when we talk to you, that you need more members, and that it's really important for people to come out. And what kind of benefits do you see as for being a member?
Oh wow!
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it's a pleasure in seeing the gardens and how they've changed and what they look like as the season progresses, and it's very rewarding in that people appreciate it so much. And as members, we know that when we're out working in the gardens, it's always people stop and thank us. We have people stop and give us checks donating
Really?
to our organization. The support from the community is constant. And I hear it at not just places where I go, but if I mention I'm a member of the garden club, people, oh, your gardens are so beautiful. So people really appreciate it and acknowledge it.
Sure.
So plus I just like to get dirty and plant things.
You can't be afraid.
I'm good at that.
Yeah, you can't be afraid of dirt if you're going to
No.
be a member.
Well, and it's wonderful exercise. It is wonderful exercise. You know, when you get older, it's easy to sit in a chair.
Right.
You know, but this is great exercising.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be strenuous. I have 2 artificial knees and I can do it. You know, we don't have to go like gangbusters. We take
Right.
our time and
But I always remember Sue because I see her out in the morning watering the plants. Now, tell us about that. What is your
Well,
responsibility on that?
I'm strictly a volunteer. People
Right.
think I'm paid. I am not. It was just difficult for the city to water things properly because they just didn't have the time or the resources, and they would come by with a great big truck and just flood everything
Right.
maybe 3 times a week. And if you have small annuals and it's very warm, they need more than that. And so I coerced my husband into helping me. And one year we just said, we're going to do it. And Scott supplied us with I should have brought it. It's a thing you hook up to the fire hydrant. He showed us
right.
how to open up the fire hydrants, and we can hook our hoses right to the fire hydrant. And my husband helped me make all these connections and things so I can water several beds at the same time. And I started doing it a few years ago, and I enjoy it very much. It's a lot of work. The only time I don't enjoy it is if I have to do it on a hot afternoon. So when you see me out there, it's usually 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. And again, people are so nice. When the businesses start opening up, almost every day I get at least one offer for coffee, pop, or water. Yeah, they're very nice.
Well, I think that shows their appreciation too.
Right.
That they
And
like this.
yes, and Del Howard has been kind enough to put an outside faucet on his business. So the flower bed in front of K&J Catering actually is Del Howard water from La Garage.
Okay.
And I just want to say a thank you while we're here to Del Howard. He is the one that has done all the mulching for us for, is it 2 years
2
now?
years. 2 years.
okay.
Deb
And
has
it's
been doing that.
such a load off of us.
Sure.
Oh, my word.
So he brings in mulch then
He
and
gets
spreads
mulch
it?
from the city, and
Okay.
he sometimes himself, but sometimes he and Carolyn, his wife, do it. And the watering, it just saves tremendous amount of watering. And
Sure.
that's one reason the plants look so nice, is because of all that mulch he puts on it. So.
Well, would you say that the highlight for the downtown district is that area right in front of K&J Catering, that as far as the plantings are concerned?
I think we tend to try to make that intersection of Margaret and 7th. We try to do as much as we can with that particular intersection. We also have a garden on the end of 7th and Helen that is a beautiful garden. We've done some weeding along the boulevards between First and Helen now that the city has planted flowers in there. And this year we may be working with some of the residents from Merrick. They're in the old
in the Weber
Weber's,
building.
yes,
Okay.
and they may be helping us do some of that, the care of our gardens which will be during the day.
Okay.
I'm hoping that that'll happen. I know that the members are excited about it.
Sure.
My brother works for Merrick, and I said,
Oh, okay.
have their person who is in charge of that call me. So I'm hoping to get them involved in helping with that too, because the weeding part is very important.
Oh, sure.
Although we are changing over to as many perennials. Most of our gardens contain primarily perennials today in comparison to 15 years ago when it was annuals.
Right.
But it cuts down on the maintenance, but particularly on the care, the watering. If you have the perennials, they're more stronger. And now we're going to start looking into and shifting to even more native plants.
Okay.
So that we don't have as big a water issue.
Okay, so the native plants can tolerate
Yes.
dry spells
Yes.
better than some of the other perennials.
Yeah, the more delicate things.
I had I think the wrong impression that if you plant a perennial garden, you don't have to do as much maintenance, but that isn't necessarily true, is
No.
it?
No, when you do perennials, you still have to weed.
Yeah.
Right.
The mulch has helped keep that down. Each year we've made it easier for us to maintain our gardens. There was a time when one garden could take us 2 or 3 hours to just do a little spruce up.
Oh, sure.
Now we can do a garden in an hour or less. But when you have 12, 15 people there, it's amazing how quickly it goes.
Sure.
But we have a good time, and we always try to welcome new people and let them, learn from us and maybe carry on as time goes on.
Sure.
That's right.
Do you find that it's getting harder to get people to join you, or is it just that it's different times, or what is it?
I don't know if it's, I think probably I joined, and I know many of the current and past members were part of it because we worked in the community.
Sure.
We worked on the main street or whatever. And so because that's gone, a lot of the retail shops are gone.
Right.
I think that's contributed. People are busy today. They have different kind of lifestyle. They may be a little intimidated by it, but they shouldn't be, because we're just a group having fun.
Sure.
And
That's true. We have fun.
yeah, and it's the kind of organization where we don't expect people or demand people do a certain thing. If they want to come and join us once a month for an hour, that's great. Whatever they can do.
So when do you meet?
We meet on, once the weather permits, and we'll start by cleaning up the gardens and assessing what needs to be done. Weather permitting, it may be, well, obviously it's not going to be the end of March this year,
Right.
but as soon as it's dry enough to get into the gardens and do cleanup, we'll start, and then we'll start meeting probably on a regular basis about the 1st of June. We start, and we meet at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. The first 3 Tuesdays of the month we meet, and then on Saturday, the last Saturday of the month, we meet at 10 a.m. That allows for people who have jobs that
Sure.
might want to come just for an hour or two on Saturday morning. And it's kind of, it's as I said, it's weather permitting. It's a real flexible thing. I always tell people, well, we'll look for the green shirts. That's where we'll be. We kind of pick a garden in advance, or they can always call me. They can find my number on the web page. They can always call for any information or any directions as to where to meet or how. We may have some, probably in April, we'll have some just discussion meetings that we'll post on the web, and that'll be at the City Hall.
Okay,
We'll have some
that's to talk
informational
about-
meetings.
Talk about the coming summer and
Yes.
what you want to do.
Yes.
So it's kind of a planning session.
We have at different times planted some annuals according to what's going on. Like with
Yeah.
the anniversary year, we tried to
That's
put
right,
more
sure.
red, white, and blue, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So people can look at the city website and find information about North St. Paul Green.
Yes.
Another activity that North St. Paul Green gets involved with is the award program,
A Take Pride
Take
Award.
Pride Award. Tell us about that.
That was started in 1994, and it was, for the life of me, I can't think of the lady's name. I'm sorry. She
Sorry.
passed away.
Sure.
Oh, Betty Lyon.
Betty Lyons
That's right.
started.
Oh, it's,
I
okay.
forgot that,
I didn't
Betty
realize that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Betty Lyons started it, and she was.
She was one of your volunteers too, wasn't
Oh
she?
yes,
Yeah.
very, very active.
And she was very active with the Historical Society.
Yes. And Betty started this Take Pride Award to acknowledge people's concern and pride with their community and their homes and their gardens by having a traveling award that's called the Take Pride Award. Nominations are from friends, neighbors, family, whatever. We take nominations, and people, we have a sign that we move from yard to yard.
And we'll show an image of that sign too
Yeah,
on the,
and
on
it's
the, on the screen.
we average about 6 winners per season. we have had St. Mark's Church has one.
Right.
St. Peter's has one. The other one is La Garage, and a couple of other businesses.
Right.
What's the accountant?
Oh,
Upon
Thorson.
Margaret.
Chris
Oh,
Thorson's
that's right,
business.
Chris Thorson's
Yeah.
business. So we not only acknowledge the work that people in their private homes do, but businesses and churches, because they have gardens also. So it's part of the community.
Okay.
But that nominations can also be given to me through my phone or another member who has an email.
Okay.
People can nominate winners.
So it's just to try to encourage people and to reward them in some way for making an attempt to beautify the city.
their street.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, and that's very positive, I think.
One of the things that we were talking about before this, how often from the street a house may look neat and have shrubs, but then you get in the backyard and it's a fantastic garden.
That's
so
right.
if you know somebody that has, maybe you say, well, you can't see their garden, we still would like to acknowledge that, and
Right.
and we've done that in the past.
I know we had that, the Historical Society had that
Oh, the garden
program where we
Oh,
had
that
tours
was
of gardens.
wonderful.
tour. That was
And,
wonderful.
and it was interesting, the number of people that have gardens in the backyard, and you don't have any idea what's back there
Exactly.
until
And-
they're
and-
showing through something like that.
Yeah. And they got that. A lot of the people that were on the tour were former winners of the Take Pride Award.
Oh,
They
sure.
came to our organizations to get the names of people who had gardens.
Right, okay.
So,
Yeah, that was successful. I think it was decided that it wouldn't work to have that tour every year, but
Yeah.
maybe it's coming closer
Time
to
to
the time
do
when
it
we
again.
can do it again. Yeah.
I think for me, that's the other thing that I love to take the sign to somebody's yard, because they are so amazed that people notice.
Right.
But what it's also done is it has created on some streets little competition.
Okay.
So that as you go down, the next couple years, you maybe notice, whoa, that yard's a little bit nicer than it was. I think it's a friendly competition.
Sure.
When the neighbor sees that, well, that neighbor was awarded something, maybe I can too.
Sure.
And I've just enjoyed that tremendously. Because if you'll look at our books, you'll see that oftentimes in a couple of years, the person 3 houses down across the street's the winner of the Take Pride Award.
Okay, yeah. So it spreads in the neighborhood.
Right.
And I think the same idea was taken up by the Design and Historic Review Commission this year when we initiated a program of giving awards to people who have improved their properties. And all those things, I think, really are positive improvements. So, do you have any suggestions for people who might be interested in winning an award? What can they do?
They can nominate themselves.
That's right, too.
I don't know that there's any particular thing that we look for. It's because my favorite garden might not be your favorite garden.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of what, and that's happened. I had one garden that I nominated years ago, and my fellow members thought I was insane.
Oh, I see.
And I'm like, it was a young man who had moved into the house, and he was working so hard at improving it and making his yard beautiful. And it had a lot of things to be desired, but he worked so hard. I just felt that he deserved to have that permission, or that recognition.
So if somebody makes a nomination, you don't necessarily weed them out, or you don't
No.
make a judgment on
No.
that, or some do maybe.
Well, some do, but
Well, the thing is, it doesn't have to be a very prim and proper English garden.
Okay, yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be a very rigid scheme or anything. I think of the one by the Historical Society that is, I love it because it's got all kinds of really funky yard art, and it's very artistic. You know, very artistic, and that's wonderful.
Sure.
But and that particular garden, and other people are like roll their eyes and think,
Yeah,
wow.
I know. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful garden, and
is,
you know,
yeah.
it's everybody's is a little different.
So you can tell when there's effort being
Oh,
made
absolutely.
to change things.
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
What about this coming year now? Do you anticipate any changes in what you're going to do, or any?
I don't think we have anything at this point. We haven't had a formal meeting for 2014, but I would guess that definitely talk about the going to the native plants will be our main
Oh, that's right. Sure.
objective. We'll see how the winter is, what's happened with our gardens. We won't know, you know.
They say that with the additional insulation, maybe they're better.
And they might be.
Might be.
But
might
do you cover gardens at all? You don't?
No.
Okay.
No, we don't.
Okay.
No.
And
We
that-
don't have anything that's real. We don't plant anything that's real sensitive.
Oh, okay. So
So,
that makes a big difference, I imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know if there's going to be changes, but there could be.
There could be.
So,
Yep,
okay.
it's a wait and see.
Sure.
But I think we do take care of the boxes in front of the post office, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
place that's changing, and that's probably a place where we will start
Mm-hmm.
with the natives. One of the native plants, the literature I'd gotten from Sue mentioned the black-eyed Susans, which is a native plant. And in the
Okay.
past, we've had them there, so we probably will be putting more of them in
Okay.
that kind of thing in those boxes.
The gardens that you do are the one in front of K&J,
Yes.
the one by the post office.
We do the boulevard in front of Roddy's there, that boulevard
That's
there.
right, okay.
And in front of the North St. Paul Pharmacy Antique Store.
Okay.
We have that garden. There's a small garden behind OSI. There's a little
Oh, that's
circular
right,
garden
sure.
there that we take care of. The North St. Paul, it's District 622 Community Building.
Oh, that's right, the former
We-
community center.
Yes, we
Yes.
have the garden. We take care of the one on First.
That's in the intro, I referred to the community school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, we take care of the garden that's on the First Street side, and then on the parking lot side, we
Okay.
take care of those.
Sure.
Most of that stuff now is perennials. We will occasionally take Sue's family takes care of and plants and maintains the box garden in front of the hair
That's by
That's right,
Sideway.
I've
by
seen you working up there,
Sidewinders.
too.
Sue
Sure.
does that. So
Well, you,
we move around.
you have your
kind of-
hands full, though, with what you have.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we're actually just a few seconds left, but maybe
Oh.
just before we finish, you could just mention what people can do if they are interested in joining you, who to contact or how to contact them.
Well, they could call me, Claudia,
Okay.
at my home phone number is listed on the webpage under, I believe it's called Organization Serving North St. Paul.
Okay.
Call me anytime, leave a
Sure.
message, I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Please don't be intimidated by experiences with other organizations
Sure.
where maybe a lot of your time is demanded. We don't do that.
Okay,
We welcome anybody, age,
great.
male, female,
Okay. Well,
anything. Kids are great. We've
I've-
had kids in the past, and we had
appreciate
a
your
young
coming
man.
on, and it just, it's a great organization. I hope we can see it grow. That would be, well, no pun intended. But so thank you, ladies.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Paul.
you.
We've been talking to Claudia Madigan and Sue Springborn from North St. Paul Green, and we're out of time on this month's show. So join us again next month when we'll bring you more news about North St. Paul. I'm Paul Anderson speaking for everyone at the City of North St. Paul. Thank you for watching.